Hey guys, Sam here. Welcome back to my library, and we're going to get into Waverly Part 3, which is my personal experience at Waverly, so I hope you'll stick around. Anyway, this is the third and final video in my little series about Waverly Hills. Video 1 covered the history of Waverly. Video 2, I talked a little about some of the more popular. Video 2, I talked a little bit about some of the more well-known and talked about entities, and in 3 here, I'm going to tell you what happened to me on my overnight at Waverly. This past October, me and my friend Mandy got the opportunity to stay overnight and do an investigation of Waverly Hills. We were there with a group of probably, I think it was 30 people. I know that sounds like a lot, but this is a 5-story building with multiple wings. And, you know, being there with 30 people, I thought, oh, it's gonna be crowded night. We were alone the majority of our time there. And I will skip the whole check-in process and all of that because nobody's here for that. I don't show up to these videos for that. I know you don't show up to these videos for that either. So, we're just gonna get right into it. I didn't get out my equipment. I don't have it here with me, but that night I took an EMF reader. I took divining rods or dowsing rods. They're copper, if you care. I took my pendulum, and I took sage because I was not leaving there with anything attached to my butt. We were discouraged from bringing anything like Ouija boards, cards, things like that, because they don't want people messing around with that stuff there, and I don't blame them. Like, you don't know, it's just not the place for that. Anyway, we got there, we met with the tour guides. They took us around for the first probably hour, showed us everything. Then you were free to go on your own, or you could stay with the guides and they would do kind of planned experiments to, you know, try to give people who maybe weren't keen to go alone. And honestly, if you're very, very, very easily scared, or if you're afraid of the dark, this may not be the place for you because they don't turn any lights on. And you are encouraged not to use flashlights, not to use the flash on your camera, because the best way to see something is to let your eyes adjust and be part of the natural environment. Because if you're just walking around with a flashlight all the time, you're not gonna have the experience that the majority of us were there to have. I just want to kind of touch on some specific experiences. The second floor has this area where you will go to when you first meet up with the group. It's a large room, and after looking at maps and things of Waverly, we determined that this was the auditorium where they would gather. And we started conversing with someone through the Necrophonics app on my phone. If you can't afford a ghost box, Necrophonics is great. It works the same way. We started conversing with a man. We kept asking him, "What's your name?" And he just kept saying, Neil, brother, Neil. So I'm like, "Oh, are you looking for your brother?" And the man's like, "Oh, Rob." Okay. "What's your name?" "Neil." Okay, so we think this guy's name is Neil. Are you from Kentucky? A long pause, and then Louisville. Okay, we're in Louisville. Did you die here? Kind of. It was just very strange. And then as we're, you know, saying goodbye and telling him that we're going, he asks us to stay. And we're like, yeah, we can't stay. We have to go. We're alone in this room. There's nobody in the hallway, because if anybody's near, you're going to hear them, because this is an old building. We're alone in the dark. Mandy's sitting here. I'm sitting next to her here. And from right here by me, we hear a man cough like he's clearing his throat. A very distinct... It was wild because we heard that with our ears. That didn't come through the spirit box. There was nobody there, guys. I got up and went in the hallway and checked, and we were alone. So that was the first kind of wild experience. I bought a light up cat ball. We tried to see if anything would interact with it. Nothing did. So we go up to the 5th floor. And a voice keeps coming through, and it's going, hi, 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 like a child. So I said, oh, I brought you a present. The ball is in my bag. I haven't taken it out. Clear as day, this tiny voice goes, ball. And I'm like, yeah, it's ball. I pull it out, light it up, roll it across the floor. I say, hey, do you like your present? And I swear to you, this ghost kid goes, nah. And we didn't hear from them the rest of the night. So I joked that I got dissed by ghost kid. Room 502 was very active. We could hear a woman and distinct choking sounds. And this is where a nurse hung herself. And she was trying to talk to us and speak to us. We asked if we should go inside the room where she died, and she tells us no. Then an angry male voice breaks through, and he's telling us to F off, F off, like very loud, like telling us this. So I'm like, well, F you back, buddy. And it was very hostile, guys. Like, I'm not joking with you. And Mandy would back me up on this if she was here with me, that this was a very angry male entity, whatever it was. And there was another point in the night, we were on the 4th floor, and we were just standing around, and we kept getting a couple male names, and then you could hear a woman in distress, like screaming, being very upset. And I had my back turned. I was looking down the hallway the other way, so I'm zoned out, not paying attention. And I don't remember what Mandy asked, but this male voice came through again and called her a stupid cunt. Yeah, so we left there. It was very uncomfortable. I didn't feel super uneasy in any part of the building except downstairs. The body chute is whatever. Like, they were already dead at that point. Like, the body chute, I don't have any feelings about that. And the same for the morgue. Like, I don't get a lot of feelings for the morgue, but it was the hallway near the original entrance. I just felt horrible there. And the other place I felt really bad was in one of the surgical suites. We were in there, and the guide was kind of talking about procedures that they used to do. And I was leaning on the windowsill, and I just got the worst vertigo and nausea. And when we left that room, I was fine. And so, I don't know what's going on there, but, yeah, we talked to, picked up a lot of different things. I'll link my blog down below, because in my blog, I listed all of the names and all of the words that we picked up. And I will tell you this, when we got back, I was obsessing over this Neil thing. So I found a list of people who had worked and lived there, by name. I found a Brother O'Neill. He was the pastor. He was there when they broke ground on Waverly. He was legally blind, like, guy couldn't see. But he knew his way around the building, and he would visit patients in their rooms, and then we picked up a lot of activity too in the atrium. Like the dowsing rods going crazy and spinning. He would spend a lot of time there with people. He had a brother named Rob. He kind of died at Waverly. He was there. He suffered a stroke while at Waverly. He never recovered, and he died like 2 weeks later at a local hospital. And I really think Brother O'Neill is still there, shepherding souls to the other side. I think his job's not done. And, like, honestly, when we left, we went back and talked to him again. And when we left that second time, I cried. I'm tearing up now. Because that was not a scary experience. That was an emotional one. Anyway, talking about him gets me tore up. I saw some shadow figures. We did experiment with some balls and things with some other people. Mandy didn't see them, I did. Maybe it was mind over matter. Maybe I wanted to see that. I don't really know the answer to that for you. On the children's ward, you would get a lot of like people gasping for air, and it's sad when you think about it because it's how they died. They basically suffocated inside their own body. It's getting to the end of the night. It's about 6 in the morning, and we have to be out in 30 minutes. And I'm like, let's do one last sweep of the second floor, go down to the first floor, call it a night. We're on the second floor, and I'll insert a YouTube video of this. Not YouTube video. Some GoPro footage, but just listen first. We come through the double doors onto the floor. We're by the atrium. In my video clip, it's the only video I took all night. I wanted to show how dark it was through my GoPro. You hear us kind of talking. We go through the doors. You see a flashlight from two girls. As soon as we go in, we're immediately annoyed because they have a flashlight. We go around the corner toward Lois and Audrey's room. We want to go back one more time. Mandy was looking away, and I was facing the room at an angle. And there, just inside the doorway, is the tall man. This thing was as tall as the ceiling. Like, I'm looking at it at an angle. It's as tall as the ceiling inside the room that it's in. And it was dark, but this thing was darker. This was blacker than nighttime darkness. In the video clip, you hear me stop. You hear my feet shuffle on the floor because I turned and started booking it back the other direction. And I'm not easily scared. I'm not a fan of the dark. Nobody is. But I've been fine all night. And this scared me in a way I've never been scared. So in the video, you hear me running away. I get to the double doors. This boy's coming in, this guy. You hear me apologize to him because I almost railroaded him. By now, Mandy's noticed that I'm booking it. She's like, what is going on? And she's coming after me. I don't remember probably the next 60 to 90 seconds. It's gone. I never had it. I have a time lapse. The next thing I remember, I'm in the break room area, sitting on a couch. There's some snack machines, so there's some soft light. And I'm trying to explain to her what I saw. Like, I was visibly shaking. Like, it scared me. We spent a couple minutes sitting there. I tried to, like, get it together. But I'm still not ready to quit. That's how you know you're, like, into something. When you have the wit scared out of you and you're not ready to quit. I was like, well, let's go down to the first floor. Check out the morgue while everybody else is up here now. And we'll leave. We go downstairs. We can't find the door we're looking for. We come back up to the second floor. We're looking for a guide to tell them that we're leaving so they can radio security to let us out. The tour guide comes running towards us down the hallway. He stops and says, did you guys hear a scream? And we're like, no. He said, oh, we just heard this horrible scream from the first floor. And we're like, no, we're leaving. So he calls the security guard. We go out to the parking lot, stage ourselves off, and go back to our hotel to get in some sleep before we head home. But later on, I saw in a Waverly group that I'm part of that somebody got that scream on camera. And if I can find that video for you guys, I will link it here, their YouTube video. Because it is wild. Because we didn't hear it. There was a couple instances of that night. We came outside at one point to get some air, and they have like a second floor like patio area, and there were some people out there having a smoke, and they had all seen from where they were. They heard a loud boom and saw lights on the third floor, but the people on the third floor didn't see or hear anything. Also, we kept getting the word cat And we mentioned that to the guy that was out there smoking, and he said there used to be cats at Waverly and they recently relocated them. So we think they were missing their kitties. And then somebody else kept picking up the word Canada on their ghost box, and we freaked out because Mandy is from Canada, so that was interesting. But that's not the full story of what happened to me. We don't have enough time for me to talk about what happened to me in 7 hours at Waverly Hills. But yeah, the tall man, that was scary, and I want to go back. And I know that probably sounds crazy to people who are like, but you just said you got the wit scared out of you. I know that I did, but I want to go back. I want to see if I see it again. I want to know if I can recreate these experiences or if they were truly unique to that night. Will I see or hear something else? I don't know. But I also will tell you, I used my Lenormand cards the night before we went to Waverly. And my card specifically told me that I would have interactions with a man and a child. And I did. Now, I don't know if that man was the tall man. I don't know if it was Brother O'Neill. I don't know if it was just saying, hey, there's going to be men you're going to interact with. I don't know. All I know is that that was one of the wildest nights of my life. And I want to go back and I want to film the whole night to post here. Because it is truly unbelievable. So if you're a paranormal lover, if you're interested in anything like this, go. Just do it. You won't regret it.